We are tonight's entertainment.
You can't handle the truth.
The fire rises.
Pizza time.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So it begins.
You know how much I sacrificed?
You think that's air you're breathing?
Groovy.
I don't have friends. I got family.
We are sex people! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Craft Services.
Hey, Trent.
Hi, Parth.
It's good to see you.
You too.
It's funny that we woke up so bright and early for this intro.
Yeah, we were supposed to have an interview, but then it was just the two of us waiting, and then it was
Miscommunication about what time zone
confusion.
we and the guest were. I think we and the guest are in different time zones, and so I said to Trent, I think we're going to have to wait for 3 hours because something got screwed up in our emails. So why don't we just record now for the intro for this week's episode, which we were going to have to do anyways.
It's nice to see you.
It's nice to see you as well. And the thing is, I was sort of looking forward to, after the interview, in the interim between recording the interview and recording this week's intro, finding out what you ate in that interim. But it seems I'm just going to have to resort for either what you had before the interview or what you had last night. Trent, what is it?
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing has entered my body yet today. Last night,
Heyo.
I went and saw the movie I'm excited to talk about for the next week's interview, the one we're hopefully interviewing on in a few hours. I don't mean to seem sour about it at all. I'm really excited, and I really like the movie. But after the movie, and then I met some friends, and we went dancing for a little bit, and then what do you need after that? And 1 cider, 2 slices of pizza.
Wow, some za, as it were.
And then, I guess, taking this to a logical conclusion, then I came home, sipped on some NyQuil, and now here we are. What about you, Parth?
Well, Trent, this morning I actually went to bed at like 11:45, which, if you know me, is quite early, but it's because I'm on pre-production on a short that I'm producing, and as Trent will tell you, and as my good friend Sophia will tell you, I get stressed before a shoot. So that stress sort of physically manifests itself in me getting really sleepy. So I went to bed 11:45, woke up like 7:30, tried to sort of force myself to 7:45, woke up, made some chai, had a banana, did some work, got ready for this interview, which didn't happen yet, but will, ideally. And now we're recording this intro, which maybe we should cue.
Welcome back to Craft Services, where we talk about the movies. Each week we talk about a film and hopefully have a crew member of that film where they talk with us about their experience working on the picture. This week, we're finishing off our interview with returning guest, William Hoy. He's edited such films as The Batman, now Superman, some of the Apes movies, and 300.
He's a pretty cool guy.
He's gotten around, and like Parth said, he's a pretty cool guy, and he's been nice enough to come back. So
It's true. Coaster set is in the mail.
Coaster set in the mail. Come back a third time, get a bathrobe.
But yeah, William Hoy, we get into some more specifics with this interview, or this part of the interview, rather, and it's some cool stuff. He guesses what points Trent cried at in the movie, which is, that's always interesting.
That was the first on the show.
Well, what's interesting is actually in our Batman episode where we interviewed William Hoy, you said, can you guess where I had a jump scare? I had 2 jump scares in the Batman. And it's just funny because I remembered that as you asked him in the Superman interview, and I was like, we always sort of test William Hoy every time we bring him on the show.
Being lucky enough to be talking to the editor, it's like, this guy's watched the movie fucking 300 times.
No pun intended.
So if there's anyone I could ask about any frame of the movie, it's kind of him.
Yes, definitely. And he certainly gets into some cool stuff. We get into some of the test screening stuff. I think that's exactly how we open it. There's been a fervor online about how this movie originally had Days of the Week title cards. We directly asked him, he directly answered. And I kind of want to get into that.
Well, I want to get into that too, but I was just thinking about this interview the other day, and I was like, it's so crazy that like a week after Superman comes out, we're talking to the editor and we're like, give us the lowdown on all the deleted scenes.
Right?
Because doesn't that feel like privileged information?
It does feel like privileged information.
I know it's not before the release because that would be like breaking your NDA, but just really cool.
No, I mean, one of my favorite parts of doing this podcast is getting the inside details on all the movies that I was excited to watch, which, like, as a kid, when I would watch like special features or whatever, It's like those people were like gods. Like you wouldn't, when they're talking to people behind the scenes, it's like I'll never talk to them, but we do get to talk to them. And now we have a podcast so that you, the listener, can also hear them. So why don't we cue the interview? There's a few things that, whether online rumors or James Gunn talking about it, that seem to have like come out of test screening the movie. I think the opening title cards weren't there, from what I understand.
Yes.
And there's also a rumor that there were originally like days of the week title cards. Was that the case?
Correct.
What can you just go through the decision-making process with those?
I think the title cards were the first ones to go. We still have some areas in there where we go to black or it's the next day, and you can kind of see where that day card might have been. That was always one of the things where I would watch go, oh, we got to get rid of that at some point, because it's just, why is it important? It's 1 week in their life. As story is concerned, I didn't think it was important. So once we lost that, I go, well, that's much better. I mean, just things just seem to flow better. Now, as far as the title cards in the beginning, we found that people were getting a little confused at the very beginning because we were throwing so many characters at them. Superman lands, meet the robots, we then meet Lex Luthor, and the next thing you know, it's the next day, and we're meeting the Day of the Planet gang. And then we have a relationship interview with Lois and Clark. So that's a lot of stuff to absorb. So we're not sure what metahumans are, because we're thrown into this. Most superhero movies, they don't call them metahumans. So what's a metahuman? So the commentary about what Superman actually did, we at one point put in much more ADR in the Fortress of Solitude when Superman's getting a sunbath. So the robots are talking more about what just happened, trying to give some expository dialogue. But that became even more confusing. Oh, why are these guys talking about that stuff? So it came actually quite late in the game, after a couple of screenings, that James says, well, let me try this. So let's Star Wars it. Yes, those titles did. I think it went a long ways to settle people down. If people read, by the way, but a lot of people don't care to read. But I think if you did read it, you have at least a basic understanding of what's going on. And you actually see the word Johannbor. When you hear it, you go, Johannbor, what the heck is that? Or Moravia. So if you see that, okay, I see those are two different countries. So that goes a long ways to explaining things. So those things did come in later, and I think losing the days of the week and adding the titles in the beginning, I think helped.
Parth informed me that another topic of debate in shaping of the movie was the squirrel and the saving of the squirrel. And we were laughing because we were like, we both love that. And so apparently that's true.
This is true. I mean, the squirrel was in, it was out, it was in, it was out. So, and ultimately it was back in. I'm glad you guys liked it. I was a little ambivalent about that. I wasn't sure going, okay. I mean, there's other people that might be dying out there, like humans. But okay, I mean, Superman flies really quick. I guess he can save a lot of people. Yeah, but if that particular section was lost, and I'm sorry, guys, you would have missed it. It would not have been a big loss for me. I mean, there was other things in the movie that I was like, I don't know about that. But yes, it was out, and then it's back in. So ultimately, it was back in because some people were calling for, but where's the squirrel? Okay, all right, let's try it again.
Some people, as in test audiences, or as in people have like very high up involved in the movie.
Yes, high up, and also James is kind of cool. He'll ask people like in editorial, like even the PA. He loved our PA, so and basically the whole crew. So he would say, well, what do you think of this? Or me, or the first assistants, or visual effects people. So he's just kind of taking his own poll about.
Just as movie lovers,
Yes.
We're all movie lovers. We all have an opinion.
Yes, true, for sure. So So, I mean, again, it's like, I'm glad it's back in for you guys.
Well, you did it for us, so we appreciate that.
I'll remember that next time.
You spoke a little bit about like the restructuring of the third act, which is sort of surprising to me because it reads like that's how it's maybe meant to be or was meant to be. The middle act of the movie where Superman is sort of trapped in a prison seems like it could be sort of a dead weight on the movie because you've separated him from people that can actually do stuff and you're separating him from Lois. Was that ever a problem or was that always sort of work? Because it doesn't bother me in the movie as is.
Yeah, I think you pointed out an area that we did a lot of work on because it needed to be more streamlined. I mean, the scenes were longer. They weren't like substantially longer, but when you think about the intercuts of those scenes, if they're 2-3 shots longer, it just slows the momentum down, say. So, the monkey bots, they're kind of cool, but it was a little longer, and the whole thing about the people behind prison and Florette, the girl that jilted Superman and all those other prisoners in there, a little bit more was made out of that. But it wasn't like we lost half of that, but it was just a matter of finding the right amount that tells that story of this journey through. I think in streamlining it, you get more of a sense that he's just taken that sled and headed toward that prison. So he's just, these are the places, there's Crypto, and these are the places that he had to go past just to get to the prison area. So before it was like, look at here's Crypto, here's the monkey bots, and here's the business. So it was ultimately a lot less like that. It needed to be streamlined, yes, for sure.
We're talking about like all the shaping and the trimming in the third act. Is there any scenes throughout the whole movie that were like wholly deleted?
Not a lot, but there was a scene. Superman is fighting Ultraman and the engineer in the baseball field, and there's a terrific crash lens there too. He actually gets up at the end of that scene as Superman and Ultraman and engineer fly off, and he has a little. It tracks like non-terrestrial beings, so he's looking for Crypto. So Superman flies off, Terrific runs off, Superman's flying, then we come back to Terrific, and so his transponder, whatever it is, he's like beep, 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 and he finds Crypto. So we cut, as soon as he finds Crypto, it goes, good dog, cut, and then we go to Superman, he's still flying up in the air. And then we come back to Terrific, and he's got milk bones, and he's feeding Crypto, and Crypto's jumping, goes, take me up there, take me to the Lexcraft up there, and then Crypto bites his foot. So all of that is gone because Superman's flying. He's in trouble. He's got the nanites. He's in trouble. So it was cute. Crypto is great, but we needed to cut a scene. So there was another scene where Lois goes and gives Clark, Superman, a kiss before she heads off back to the Daily Planet when they're at the farm, at Mom and Paul's farm, and gives him a kiss that says, I'm going to get you out of this. So that was in there. A short scene, but it was lost. So it was actually not a lot of whole scenes that were lost. No.
This movie has got a lot of people emotional, and James Gunn has said that he was sort of surprised by how emotional people have gotten from this movie. Not to out Trent, but he cried twice in this film.
Wow. Thank you.
And I wanted you to guess where maybe I cried or where the spots people might be most likely to cry.
Okay, give me a minute.
Sure.
Please.
Okay, yes.
And would you, editing it, ever shed a tear?
Not in this particular movie, but there have been movies where I'll put something together and just put some music and they go, oh my God, I'm really emotional with this. So where would that be?
It's hard to predict other people's emotions because if it freaking sneaks up on me, if you can't think of anything, I'll tell you.
Well, here's one thing that it was a late change, and then it had to do with the music and all that. So it's when Lexcraft lands and the prisoners are coming off, and then Crypto runs over the roof of the Bradley or the Humvee, and then he's playing with the monkey bot. That just gets me. And that was a late addition. The scene didn't play an end like that at the end with Crypto. I always find that simple guitar there very emotional, but it also says it's okay. Everything is okay. So that gets me. I'm not sure by your reaction, that's what got you.
My two were when it's slow motion, they're getting sucked into the black hole, and then
wow.
he like grabs Crypto, and then the Superman theme kicks
Yeah.
in.
Wow.
That did something.
Oh,
and
nice.
then the bigger one, which was like actual tears down the face, was when the kids are hoisting up the Superman flag.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was
Okay.
just a powerful with, the world, because it's a, topical, powerful movie.
Yes. Okay. Got it. No. That's good.
Yeah, no, it's a compliment to
The
everyone involved.
ending got me with the parents and all that.
With the parents on the screens.
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Is there a Crypto dog, like real live dog for any portion of the movie, or is it 100% CG?
It's 100% CG. Yes. You probably read some press that they scanned James Gunn's dog.
Whoa.
You read that? Have you read this?
I've read this, yeah.
Yeah,
And they
so-
made him white.
Yes. Basically, he's a rescue dog. His name is Ozu, but he has that one floppy ear. So they scan Ozu, and so that's how Framestore, who is the vendor, the visual effects vendor, who did Crypto, that's how they got his movements, and they did an amazing job. So I mean, and he's a big character in the movie, and people love him. Yeah.
As we sort of start getting closer to the end, in thinking about the movie in totality, was there a hardest scene or sequence for you to edit, and one that you're most proud of? And they can be the same or different.
Well, I think that whole third act, because it was problematic, and one of the things that we did at the last minute was, we're in the Lex craft, and Lex core, the building, is still intact. The rift hits it much later in the original telling of the story. Much later. I mean, this is when Superman's fighting Ultraman already, and so it happened much later. And it was always like, it's a momentum killer here. So we were watching it. It was like a Friday evening, and I know James was there with one of his producers, and the idea came up with to take that and move it where the buildings are falling, where the rift first hits Metropolis. And so I quickly put it in there, made some trims, and James was on his way out somewhere. He was going to catch a plane the next day. So he looked at it and goes, okay, I think that works. So then I get a call from him the next day and goes like, I watched it again and it works. I'm really leery about making last minute changes because it was so late in the process, but he goes, it works. And I do think that cracked the whole thing so that there is no more intercutting. And now it just allows Superman to be this heroic figure at the very end there. Yeah. When you talk about a scene that was difficult to cut, again, it's the River Pie, when it's that area that you were just talking about, Trent, when Superman blows himself out of the black hole. When I get the dailies for that, it's all blue screen.
Yeah.
So, and Superman
It's total
is doing,
nonsense.
It's total nonsense. Total. So, I mean, I said, what's the River Pie look like? What does the scene look like? I mean, what does the River Pie sound like? I mean, I have no idea. What they shot was Dave Cornsweet on wires in these blue styrofoam balls floating down. They would drag him like 20 feet, 30 feet, and then he's going like, I'm drowning. So I think the way I put it together, thankfully, it worked out. So, but that's the thing that you try to imagine, even though you don't have a lot of guidance. I mean, I had some artwork. I said, this is very colorful, but I had some artwork to base it on. But I think that scene ultimately turned out quite well. I mean, it made you cry.
There's like 5 or 6 major fight scenes. That's just like a guesstimation in this movie. And they all, have different players and different settings. But just in terms of like trying to up the ante as you go throughout the movie, are you thinking about fight scenes differently?
Yes and no. I mean, I think it's the characters that define the actual fight scene instead of getting an idea what you're talking about is, or am I trying to top one the other, or I'm building momentum to the final one that's crazier than the last one? It's more about what this character is doing at the moment. It's like Terrific gets a huge response, that fight on the beach. So and that was shot as a oneer, so that, there's some invisible stitches in there. So that particular scene makes terrific. I mean, he's this great character. Now, the whole Ultraman Superman fight, that's a whole different can of worms, because it's like you want Superman to be this great hero that you always envision him to be, so we have to give him his moment. So hopefully we've built up to that, and he does achieve that. So in a sense, these action scenes are serving the story at that point, is what I'm thinking.
You brought up the fight on the beach, which has a great needle drop, which James is very well known for, especially with the Guardians movies. This movie, though, is pretty restrained as far as that goes. Was there ever more in that, or was it always? I think that's the only real needle drop scene in the movie from memory.
Yeah, I mean, the end has punk rock on the punk rock.
Sure.
But it doesn't really, doesn't do the same purpose as Terrific's fight. But James has those songs at the ready before we even start putting the picture together, and say, okay, here, this goes here. So then I put it in there as a temp, try to find a starting point so that we get to the point where when Terrific jumps out of the bubble, we can actually go full-blown stereo there and go score instead of source material there. So when do you go from source to score? And so those are the kind of questions that we have to deal with in that. But it's obvious that when, for me anyways, that when Terrific jumps out of the bubble, that's when you'll full-blown score for that particular song. So it's playing up front. The actual sound effects have just taken a slight back seat. So, but that's a piece of music that was given to us very early on.
Yeah, I know you just released, what I assume will become one of the biggest movies of the year. But if you're at the liberty to talk about, are you working on anything else?
I'm not working at the moment, so I'm planning to take some time off. I mean, I've been in contact with Matt Reeves, and at some point he might do the Batman. Don't know.
How exciting!
So, I mean, if that's the case, then fine. But if not, I am purposely not taking any work right now. We work on these things, and it's not like we're salary employees that every year we get 2 weeks off, or we're like teachers. We don't have any days off in the whole year. I mean, I was on this for well over a year. So I just want to take some time off and just kind of hang out for a while.
In the thick of working on any movie, is it 7-day weeks?
No, we try to keep it manageable at 5. We're 5-day weeks, and if we had to, for some reason, a 6-day, very rarely on this particular one was there a 7th day, and I think it wasn't necessary to do that. I mean, the hours are difficult enough, 5-day week. So I think we wanted that. We wanted the weekend to ourselves just to recoup, because as enjoyable. I mean, we had a great crew. Everybody got along famously. We had dogs in the cutting room. There's like 3 dogs always, and they were the best dogs. So we had all that, and so Craig Albert, the co-editor, he's a very humorous guy. So it just kind of translates to. It was just a lighter feeling at just working and being there. Just any drama, if there was drama, is kind of lightened up by all that. So I think that part of it was very enjoyable.
Trent, is it Big Kahuna time?
I think it's time.
So the Big Kahuna final question is it's something you faced before, but should still be wary. It's
Drop the bomb, Parth.
Yeah,
drop it.
Yeah. So the Big Kahuna final question is just, what is the last great movie you watched? And it can be a rewatch or a first time watch, but it has to be a great film.
Oh, well, I've been actually trying to catch up on some of my movie watching. This is not a classical movie, but the Oscars came out last year, and I talked to a lot of people about what movies they liked, and they would always say this movie, and I love Dune 2. I just love that movie. That the whole world building and all that and I actually went and Hans Zimmer has this tour. I don't know if you heard about it. He has this tour. So I went to crypto.com arena now, and I was just mesmerized by his score. And the whole show I was, but the score for Dune 2 and the scores that he does, it just has this sense of place and time that I just don't get that a lot from other composers, not to denigrate them, but I'm just saying he does it the best for me at this moment. So all that put together, I don't know, I just like Dune 2. That's a good movie for me,
We were lucky enough to interview the editor, Joe Walker, and I watched Dune 1 and Dune 2 for the first time years after release in my basement before the interview. And I watched Dune, and I was like, Parth, Dune is amazing. And then I watched Dune 2, and I said, Dune 2 is even better.
When Dune came out and was in the theaters, I can't remember why I didn't have an opportunity to go. So during award season, they have screenings in different places. So they had it at the Directors Guild. I go, okay, I got to go because this is a movie you have to see on the big screen. And boy, am I glad I waited because the sound was just like the bottom end is like, rah. You're like, wow, that is so good. I know Joe Walker a bit.
Yeah.
He's a lovely guy.
He was very nice with us, as you have been. Trent, shall we?
Yes, thank you so much to returning guest, William Hoy. He's the editor behind such films as Watchmen, War for the Planet of the Apes, The Batman, and our movie for this week, Superman. Thanks so much for coming on. Go see Superman on as big a screen as you can. It's out now.
Thank you, Parth. Thank you, Trent. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll see you again in a few years.
I hope so.
Yeah, whenever the Batman 2 comes out.
Yes. Put it in your mind.
Parth, I didn't want to break your flow, but just to give a genuine thought about why we do our podcast. It's really cool because it's like you're watching a movie and you have all sorts of questions, and then to just ask someone like whatever the fuck you want, or like whatever the fuck you're curious
Exactly.
about.
I mean, also another cool thing is, there's obviously etiquette. You sort of know maybe some stuff behind the scenes that you shouldn't ask on air. But every now and then, off air, you get to ask, well, hey, there's some internet rumors. What's the truth? You just go directly to the source.
And off air, they're most of the time willing to talk about it.
Yeah, because if you're cool and not going to leak, whatever information you say or you hear, you'll probably get to hear it. But yeah, our guests, including this week, William Hoy, are always pretty cool. Pretty cool people.
Yes, and we thank you, William Hoy, and all of our other super dope guests for their time. These episodes come out on Sundays at 5 a.m. We talk about ourselves on Instagram and Twitter. We talk about ourselves in our podcasts that come out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. No?
Yeah, Stitcher.
Ah, cool. Pandora and wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, well done, Trent.
I should stop before... I have to overcompensate.
Trent has morning brain, unfortunately.
I have to It's sick brain.
Well, it's sick brain, and I think you were wired to do an interview, and now you're having to pivot and do an intro.
Pivot to be charming and not just read questions off document.
There's a lot we're thinking about as we're interviewing someone, and so sometimes it's nice to listen to the interviews after the fact because you can just be like, cool, I can just listen to this now.
And there's an unspoken language of both of us sometimes asking two questions in a row without actually ever really communicating that to the other person.
We're kind of like a married couple. We speak with our eyes.
And with texting sometimes during the interview. And I'm like, I wonder if either of our buzzers are going to go off.
But yes, thank you so much to William Hoy. Thank you so much to his team for setting up this interview. And go check out Superman. It's a good movie. It's fun to see a Superman movie in theaters. And Trent, who had never seen a Superman movie, he had fun.
I really, really enjoyed this, kind of more than I was anticipating. Yeah, go see it on as big a screen as possible. It's kind of one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Or go see, there's another superhero movie you could see. And go
it's kind of fantastic, I've heard.
Go decide which one you like more.
Yeah. You decide who's next.
You decide which franchise has been saved or not saved by their respective installments that were both tasked with saving their respective businesses.
And it seems, based on reviews, both have succeeded.
Yeah, that's good news.
Yeah, a good summer for the movies. Well, we'll see you next week, guys. Hopefully with something really cool.
Jurassic World Rebirth. That's what we're doing.
Oh, yep.
Parth and Trent have to get the DNA from Trent, Parth, Jackson, and Sophia.
Oh,
It'd be easy.
it's true.